Hey guys, it's day, I don't even know honestly, I think it's day 18 of 30 at this point. Okay, so today's video is inspired by a newsletter I received last night. So last night I checked out a newsletter that was sent to me by someone in my network. And I thought it was really interesting. This person in real life is so interesting, is so smart, and I haven't talked to them yet, okay? So I'm probably gonna have to have this conversation with them. I know them, I know how impressive they are, I know how amazing they are, but as I was reading the newsletter, I was like, who's this? Like, this doesn't sound like them at all. This is not how they speak. And it was, I don't know if it was generated through ChatGPT or something, but it was very stuffy and it was too formal and it was using complex words. And I just know that this is not how they speak. And even if I didn't know them, I would know that this is not how a person speaks in real life. And I don't know what happens to us when we get in front of a camera or we start creating content. We find it so difficult to just speak like we normally do. So it's not a jab at this person. Like I know this feeling when I was starting out with content. I was like, why the heck can I not be myself on camera? Or why can I not be myself when I'm creating, like writing something? Why do I go out of my way to over deliver, almost like just me showing up is just not, this is not good enough. And I mean, this is not about saying, hey, don't put an effort into the content that you're creating. I certainly would encourage that. Also, I'm not saying don't change the way you speak naturally because that's your nature and it can never change, because that's not true. At the end of the day, these are habits of communication. So if you don't like the habits that you have with your communication right now, please, by all means, change them. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I encourage you to do that as well. But what I am saying is, sometimes when you hear somebody speak or you read a post, you feel like it's just not fitting. And it's not, without even knowing the person, first of all, you feel like it's not fitting. But especially when you know the person, if they were to say it out loud or they were to read their own post, they would feel awkward. They would stumble because it's not their nature to speak like that. It's not their signature, if you will. And so as I was reading it, I was thinking to myself, it's so interesting because when I observe videos and content from other creators, the ones that hit a nerve are usually the one, not usually, are always the ones where the person is speaking directly to you. And in my own experience, the pieces of content that got me the most response, the most engagement, the most interaction and conversation were the ones that were coming from the heart. So we're hurting ourselves and our chances of reaching the other person. We're shooting ourselves in the foot when we do this. So how do we go about it? What do we do? I've heard so many variations of this, but the idea is to think of a real person in your life. So that person could be you in the past. It could be a friend. It could be your ideal client. It could be, I heard a creator once say, he writes everything, he starts it with Dear Son, and he ends it with Love Dad, and then he removes these two parts and keeps the post that is in between. I thought it was interesting. So you gotta think of a person that you would speak to, and if you would not say the words, if you listen to it or you read it and you feel like, if I were to read this out loud to people, I wouldn't know how to say it, it would feel forced, then there's something is not quite right, okay? The feeling for the recipient, even if they don't know you, the feeling for them is like, when somebody is wearing something they're not comfortable with and they just keep tugging it and pulling it, it's uncomfortable for the person and it's uncomfortable for the other person next to them too, because it's taken away from the conversation. It's distracting. So the bottom line is, you've got to think about a person, a real person, speak in your own voice, even if you are in a formal type of work. This is not about necessarily becoming informal. If that's not your style, you can still be formal. You can speak any way you want to, but it has to come naturally to you. It has to be something that fits. And the keyword is feeling. So when you read it, it feels right. When you say it, it feels right. Okay, with that, I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you tomorrow.